Oh my goodness, we are live, ladies and gentlemen. I got the epic cinematic. What's this thing called? Let's see, what is this called? It is called the Epic Symphony, and it's so motivational. Yeah, let's go. As people start tuning in a little bit, let me know who's here, where you're watching from, and this will be a podcast episode. So, welcome to the Relentless Goal Achievers podcast. Today we're gonna have an awesome conversation. So as people are joining today, I want to talk about this thing called trust. Trust is that speed lane, is the HOV lane. You know, you're driving and 5 lanes are stuck in traffic, and then there's one HOV lane that like people are zooming by. That's what trust can do for your relationships. That's what trust can do for our relationships when we're selling, when we're meeting new people. Whatever we're doing, we need trust. And what I'm going to tell you in this video are 5 quick ways to expedite trust. And yes, you can absolutely expedite it and actually manufacture trust where it doesn't really exist or where there's resistance to it. So let me share this with you, okay? There are 5 ways. So 5 ways we're talking about trust building. By the way, wherever you're watching from, I see a few people have joined. Let me know in the comments. I'm doing this through StreamYard, and so I'm not sure exactly where people are watching from, but wherever you are, I hope you're having an amazing holiday season, and I hope this brings you a ton of value. So number 1 is be transparent and be honest, right? But what does that mean? Yeah, of course, being transparent, being honest, that will help us build trust. But how do we do it effectively? In sales, to build trust quickly through transparency and honesty, you got to use your butt. And I did not misspell butt. I'm not talking about the butt that we're sitting on. I'm talking about but the word. So there's this technique that when somebody says the word but, it pretty much eliminates everything they've said before. So let's say I'm selling a copier, and I'm speaking with a potential client, and they tell me, they say, hey, tell me what's the best thing about this machine or this copier you're selling, whatever. It might not be a copier, it might be whatever it is that you're selling. If you know that you have some weaknesses, if your product has some weaknesses, if your service has some weaknesses, the way to build trust, the way to use that to your advantage is to say those things first. So let's say it's not the best, quality, right? For example, it's not the best like production quality, or I don't know what it is that you guys are selling to these days. I would put the weakness first. And that very quickly builds trust. So you can say something like, well, our device is not known for the highest quality, but the quality for regular office use is incredible, and you don't have to pay for boom, 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 that extra stuff, right? So using the but after a negative, 1, cancels out the negative, but 2, builds your relationship, builds that trust factor with the client, because they're like, everyone else I'm meeting with is telling me that their thing is the best. It's absolutely amazing. And you're the only one that came out and said, here's where we're not great, but, and then you continue on with why you are. And that but's going to cancel out the first part you said. Number 2, consistent reliability. So if I'm meeting with somebody, I'm going to make a point to tell them, because think about it, when you're reliable, and what does reliable mean? Reliable means that that you do what you say you're going to do. And many people don't do that. And so I'll literally fabricate that, right? So if I'm meeting with someone, I'll say, hey, I'm going to send you a follow-up email with ABC. I'm going to get you this thing that I read. I'm going to send you a copy of something, right? What I'm doing is I'm intentionally putting myself in a position where I can make a commitment and actually commit to that commitment, because I know the act of doing that builds trust with somebody, right? So that's what we're going to do. Tell them a few ways you can do that. Is one is tell them you're going to send an email, send an email. Tell them you're going to make an introduction, and guess what? Make an introduction. Tell them that, throughout conversation, if they say something that reminds you of a book, You say, oh my God, you know what? I've read this article. I'm going to send it to you, send them the article. Or you're going to enjoy this book I was reading. It's amazing. Go to Amazon. Like as soon as you leave that meeting, go to Amazon, buy the book and have it delivered to them with a note saying, boom. And it might even get there the next day. That builds trust so quickly. All right. Number 3, listen actively. Listen actively really could build trust. And I talk about the waitress technique. I talk about it in my book. Back when I was selling, I messed up because I didn't do this. And this is the waitress technique really helped me out. So even last night, we were out to dinner. It was 6 of us. The waitress came up. She took everybody's order. Before she went and put that order back to the kitchen, she repeated it. She said, all right, so what I have is you ordered boom, 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 this. And when all of us agreed, she went and delivered the order to the chef so he can make the food. We can do that in our meeting. So before the meeting ends, you can say, hey, based on everything we talked about, what I heard you say is this. And what that shows is that you listened actively. And when we listen actively, we build trust. Number 4 is open and effective communication. Any chance you get, communicate with your prospect or client. So if they bought something from you and it's delayed, email them, call them, let them know, hey, I thought we were going to do this. I thought this was going to be able to happen, and it's not. If you tell them you're going to make an introduction for them and that other person doesn't want the introduction, call them and say, hey, I thought I'd be able to make this introduction. Not happening. Maybe I could do something else, right? But open and effective communication, and you are the one that can control that. You can literally say, I'm going to do this, and if it doesn't work out, then communicate that. Just the act of the communication helps you build trust. And number 5, demonstrate competence. Demonstrate competence and expertise. Oh my gosh, one time, you got to understand how the human mind works, right? If we think that somebody's good at one thing, we automatically assume that they're good at other things. I remember I was running a sales team, and I work out very early in the morning and kept seeing this young man always working out, and he was shredded. That to me meant discipline. He's there every single morning. He's working out. I'm like, man, I said, listen, I'm looking for a salesman. Why don't you come in for an interview? I think you'd be great. It requires discipline. It requires trust, not trust. It requires discipline, hard work. Like everything that you're doing in the gym, I think can translate into sales. Sure enough, he comes in. I already had my mind made up that I'm going to hire this guy. He was like in his early 20s. He was a train wreck. He was a complete train wreck. He was so scared to meet with people. He was a complete introvert. And I know introverts are great at sales, but not this guy. Like this dude ended up like being a security guard at a high-end, high facility, but that's probably a better position for him. But because I thought he was good at in the gym, I assumed he'd be good in sales. I was completely off. As a young manager, made that mistake. But your clients look at you the same way. If they believe you're good at one thing, they believe you're good at other things. And so when you have a chance, you want to demonstrate your competence and expertise. That doesn't mean you have to know everything. But what you could be doing is sharing what you're learning. So one, if you're in sales or if you're doing anything, personal growth and growing and developing is always going to be advantageous to you. But what I'm asking you to do is not keep that to yourself. When you learn something, learn it with the intent to either teach it or share it. When you learn something, learn it with the intent to teach it or share it. So as soon as you get a chance, you learn something new, you reach out to the potential client. Remember, your goal is to build trust and relationship and say, hey, I learned this thing. I thought you could use it wherever you're doing, in your business. Here's the concept that they taught us. Here's the thing they talked about. Check this out. And that will help expedite your trust. Now, if you want to understand best way to deliver these things to different type of people in our arsenal, relentlessgoalachievers.com/arsenal-welcome. And we'll have the link up in the comments somewhere once this thing is finished. I've created what's called selling with disc. It literally tells you different personality styles and how to communicate with them for it to be most effective. So it's all free. It lives in an arsenal. Just, put in your name and email and you'll get access to that and a bunch of other little trainings and PDFs and videos that will help you in sales and personal growth. Once again, thanks for tuning in. I will see you guys tomorrow on another live. Have a good day, everybody.